Welcome back to the podcast, beautiful soul. I have a beautiful soul joining me today. Not a new mama. She's had a newborn. We've got a newborn as well in the studio today. We have Jessica Zalums joining me today, and she's a powerhouse, and she's achieved some incredible stuff. Jess is a mum of three. Only a few years ago was a burnt out network marketer, a PR accountant director who had been trying to replace her income for years. She started her new six-figure affiliate marketing business when she'd just finished mat leave. First son within 12 months had replaced her corporate salary. That's cool in itself. She retired herself from 9 to 5, 29 years old, and has since created a powerful movement, wildly empowering women to unleash their voice, create a powerful personal brand, and earn their worth. And like I said, she's got her newborn Bubba in the studio today. So if we hear a little bit of crying in there, that is okay. Jess, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's, mate, how are you? Like, literally, I think for guys listening, we were speaking with camera, five weeks old. Is that right?
Yes, 5 weeks old and third bub. So there's a little bit more to be working around this time. But yeah, she's doing well.
Beautiful. And what's her name? Sorry, I didn't get her name.
Zara.
So we got baby Zara. It's a podcast debut today, and she's hopefully remembers this one. But look, Jess, before we sort of rip into it, I just shared a fair bit of your story, probably maybe just a summary of it. If you want to share your story, like a little bit more detail, how you want to get to this point. I'm sure there's a lot of challenges and failures and some painful moments through that journey. What's your story?
Absolutely. I'm just going to plug in my laptop quickly.
Go sorry. Okay, laptop is back in, and we're rocking and rolling. Back to Jess.
Ready to rock.
Let's do it. So yeah, share us your story.
Awesome. Yes, it's been on hiatus for a while. But yeah, so thank you for the beautiful intro. And like you said, was a burnt out network marketer. I also came from the world of public relations. So that is an industry that is very busy. And it's not really that well versed for mums, which I find quite interesting because it's about 99% female. So I was in public relations, doing media, working around the clock for really big brands, and quite enjoyed it. But I also wanted freedom. I wanted time freedom. I wanted an uncapped salary. I wanted, all the things that quite, entrepreneurial, ambitious people want. And I also, every day going to work, was thinking, I have so much to give, and I'm literally giving all of it to someone else's business. Like, I'm literally building someone else's business when I could be building my own. So at the time, that's when I found network marketing. And that was I was early 20s, like quite skeptical at the beginning, but then sort of did about 5 years in traditional network marketing, which was great. And I'm so grateful for that apprenticeship in the industry.
Sorry to pause you. The way you just said that, I did MLM for about 6 years as well, and I just say it's the best apprenticeship or internship of entrepreneurship, and just like teaches marketing, sales, fear of failure, putting your voice out there, hiring, obviously recruiting, firing. So just wanted to underline that. That was really cool. Going.
Yeah, thank you. And I think, it gets a really bad rap, but there are actually some really positive things from it, especially the personal development.
Yeah.
However, the things that give it a bad rap, I have to say I quite agree with.
Yeah.
And those things are basically being a little bit dodgy with marketing and being a little bit deceptive, or doing things that almost invade people's space and privacy. Like, you get taught to just send out 100 messages to people asking if they want your product, right? And coming from public relations and loving marketing, I genuinely love good, heart-centered, service-led marketing. I love it so much. And I love social media when it's done in the right way, right? So I did my 5-year, as I said, internship in traditional network marketing, didn't really get anywhere, made about 25 grand a year for 5 years. Literally, like, the saying, you do the same thing over and over and get the same result, is the definition of insanity. That was me, because my goals were huge. I wanted to replace my income. I needed to replace 100K income. I was an account director by that point. And I just had my first son. So at that time, high ticket network marketing in a way that's more affiliate marketing rather than network marketing. So actually getting taught the skills of running Facebook ads and creating a webinar with an affiliate link and being a little bit more transparent and sharing the skills and education of marketing. That came into my world, and that really appealed to me because, as I said, the missing link for me was the education. I was like, you can give someone a business and the opportunity to sell a product and earn a commission from it, which I think is genius. If you don't have to create the product and you're just the middle person, like the middleman, it's like having a shop and selling a product, except without all of the running costs and the hard costs. I think that's genius. But if you give that to someone or they buy that and you're not showing them how to actually make sales, A, it's deceptive. B, they're not going to make any sales. And C, you're not actually giving them the value of the skills that will allow them to earn regardless of what they sell.
Yeah.
So now I lead a very powerful movement of women where we have created an entire platform where we teach these as courses. We teach Facebook ads, Instagram, organic attraction marketing, how to share your story, how to do TikTok. If you want TikTok, like we teach all these different ways to attract the right person to you. And we're not selling to every man and his dog. We're actually only wanting to attract someone that is like-minded to us. So someone that goes, I resonate with Jess's story, her voice, I like who she is, I want to work with her. I'm not trying to convince every fucking person. Sorry, I hope we can swear.
Nah, fucking absolutely. Every podcast, when you upload this podcast, is like clean or explicit. I just click it every time because I probably swear in all of them, even though I may not. I just click it just in case. So yeah,
I feel like a little bit of hot sauce is needed sometimes to like bring home the message. But yeah, I just really felt like that was the gap in not only the industry, but also in what people offer. Like there's so many things out there where it's like, you can earn money online. Cool. But are they actually showing you how to really earn, the money that you want in your vision and what you need to be able to be financially free? Because if not, then it's really only half the offer.
Yeah. Love it. And I guess maybe fast forward where you are now. How long have you been doing the ticket? What do you call it? Do you call it affiliate marketing? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's high ticket affiliate marketing. So we do affiliate marketing and we're affiliated with a network marketing company, a Nagic, which is high ticket. So it's high ticket health products.
Yeah.
But really that's, again, only really half the offer, because the other half is that you get lifetime access to mentors like myself and our courses and stuff. So that's, as I said, kind of the missing link is like the education and the skills.
Beautiful. And if you were to give, I know you just gave sort of a really, really quick review, but what are like some of the core skills that you didn't have in the MLM days to the nowadays? What were like the missing gap?
Great question. And I feel like I'm also talking on behalf of the industry, because there's a lot of great companies out there, like low ticket companies, that could do with, these skills. So if anyone's listening and they're a part of these companies, then this might be valuable to you as well. So they are content. Don't go and message a whole bunch of people about your product. Do content where they come to you. And that content needs to be authentically serving other people. If you put your customer first and you're sharing from your heart how passionate you are about a product or a service, and you truly believe and know that you can actually deliver value to another person, those people will find you. Yes, it might take a little bit longer at first because you're building a brand, but it's so much more authentic and genuine, and it feels so much better when you know someone has been attracted to you. So that definitely starts with content. Then conversations. If you're going to have conversations in your DMs, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with DMs with people, but please make it authentic. Do calls to actions in your stories, and have people reach out to you. Or if you're going to reach out to people, have no intention of selling. Just build relationships, because people are more likely going to buy from you anyway if you have a relationship with them and they know, like, and trust you. And so content, conversations, and connections. They're the 3 C's that I teach my team. So connections are, building your network, building your following. Lewis and I were talking about YouTube before we did this, like, building your following on YouTube, on Instagram, on whatever platform you're passionate about and you like showing up on, you're more likely going to be consistent with, right? So the connections piece is about building a specific following. And again, you don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers to be successful. You need to just know who you're here to serve and connect with them authentically. Every time you press live, doing an Instagram live, or press record, doing a podcast, or, sit down to write a post, know who you're talking to and just talk to that person. Don't try and please everyone, because your message will actually land with no one. So they're the 3 C's that I teach on, and that I feel is valuable for anyone building a brand or business.
Absolutely. I like the contrast or banalities I'm seeing with you and my business, what I'm doing, and the team. I don't have a team. For me, it's like my clients that I work with, that they're building their business. And something I use the analogy, dig the well before you're thirsty, always building your connections and always connecting with people. So I get people to not to cold DM people, but to add them on Facebook, add them on LinkedIn, follow people on Instagram that are your audience that you're looking to attract. Obviously post content, and you do both at the same time. I guess my question to you, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? So how does someone who's listening to this and they're like, look, I've got a ML product, I've got a high ticket product, I've just got my own business, trying to promote a little bit more. How can I start to do all 3 if you can, and maybe just go as deep as you want to? Do the content, do the connections, and do the conversations.
Fabulous question. So I am massive on outsourcing. I love teaching people how to get a virtual assistant. Yeah. However, I always say perfect the craft before you outsource it, because if you can't do it yourself, how are you supposed to brief someone on doing it, right? So, and it's really crucial to do that and not skip that step. So with content, do it yourself first. I've only just 5 years into doing this business. I've only just started to outsource content from my podcast. It's the first time I've ever outsourced content, right? Awesome. So do it first and perfect that. Content is, again, it's like, it's all about sitting down and going like, what's my message to this one person, and having the mindset of being okay not serving and pleasing everyone, being okay with the fact that your message might piss people off. It might be a little bit, controversial to some people. It might rub people the wrong way, but for the right person, it's going to speak to them. Yeah. So there's so much that I could go on about with content, but I actually do truly believe most of it comes down to your mindset. And if you can build your belief in yourself, your content is going to thrive, whatever format that is and whatever platform that's on. Yeah. Then connections. So like you said, adding people, knowing who you actually want as your audience. I have a small following. Like, I don't even have 7,000 followers yet, but they're all really specifically my audience. And that's like, I've been on Instagram for like 10 or 12 years and I have like 6,000 something followers, right? So, however, they're all either in network marketing, ex-network marketing, mums, ex-corporate, like they've all got something in common with me, and they've all been attracted to follow me for a specific part of my story and a specific reason, right? And I've also sought out accounts that I resonate with. So, the company that I used to be a part of, I have found people who I resonate with who do that, or who used to do that, because I know that they'll resonate with my story. I've found people who are working mums because I know they'll resonate with my story. And I've connected with people who I'm like, this is always the sort of filter that I go through. If I look at their content and I'm like, I would love to go for a rosé with them, like I'd happily go and hang out and just hang out with them, then I'll follow them. Because if you don't, then you're not going to want to do business with them. You're not going to want them as a client or as a team member or whatever if you don't resonate with them. So don't try and like force a fake friendship for the sake of business, because it's not going to feel good or work long term anyway. So that's what I look for when I'm connecting with people. And then, as I said, eventually long term, you can outsource this really easily with a VA by telling them what it is that you find in those profiles that make you feel like you want to connect with them. Because once you know that, once you've done it enough yourself, you'll know what it is that you see in those people, and then you can outsource it.
Love.
Then with conversations, this is a really big one. With conversations, you need to speak in your messages like you speak in a conversation in real life with a person. Yep. Like, would you go up to a person and be like, oh, hey, Lewis, how's your health going? Like, is there any health issues that you're looking to fix right now? Like, what's your goal this month with your weight or with your, like, no, that is just so weird. It feels awkward to say that. So don't say that in messages, like if you met someone at a barbecue or like, I'm a mum, I meet people all the time. I meet other parents all the time at school, pickup, drop off, soccer, whatever. My first question would be like, cool, like how old are your kids? Like, is this your first? What do you do for work? Like, you just make conversation with them. Be a normal human being in your DMs, because that is the biggest thing that I find people sort of get in their head. They have this goal to make a sale. Get that goal out of your head and just have a real life conversation with someone. And if you build a connection with someone, then when they see your next call to action, they might be likely to reach out to you. They might be likely to be like, oh, okay, like that's interesting. Didn't know he offered that or she offered that or whatever, and actually pique their interest, rather than it being this really convoluted way to try and like, work your business or your offer into the conversation when it's not natural. Yeah.
Love it. Do you follow Alex Hormozi and Layla Hormozi?
No.
Your life's gonna change, but I'll send you some of their stuff.
Yeah.
But he's written a book, incredible, like bestseller. It was about like $100 million offers, how to make a great offer. And his new one that's launching, I think, in a week or two, is and he just posted their YouTube channel is going to blow your mind. And he just said something like Gary V popularized the jab, 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 right hook, like give, then ask. And his caveat was give, and just keep giving until they ask. So just keep adding value, because whoever reaches out, the person receiving holds the power because they're reaching out. Now, yes, there's a balance with that, because I do reach out. I do 300 a of people that have followed me. I have the organic volume to allow me to do that. But it's obviously finding that balance between, obviously, you've got your goals to hit, you've got financial goals you want to hit, you got bills you got to pay, versus you want to do it, play long term, and you want to value, build genuine connections. You don't want to burn bridges. You don't want to become known as the guy just trying to sell shit to everyone, right? So how many do you, and maybe take a step back of when you didn't have the VA and you were doing it yourself, what were you doing on a daily basis for you to conjure up connections, make those conversations, and to give offers? What would you do daily, weekly basis for you to get people through your pipeline to make sales?
Yeah, I would definitely be looking at 10 to 50 a day, depending on what your time is, which we'll get into, because as I said at the beginning, I've got 3 kids.
Yeah.
If anyone watching or listening is like, I don't have the time, like I'm not the person to even say that excuse to, because if it's important, you'll find the time. So in terms of connections, 10 to 50 a day. I would be starting conversation with anyone that follows you because they've chosen to follow you. So that's a connection, right? So of course you would reach out and be like, thanks for the follow. Tell me a bit about yourself, like what's happening in your life, And I don't think that there's anything wrong with selling in your DMs. Like if you find that someone has a problem and you have the solution to it, of course you're going to be like, hey man, did you know that I actually have a course or I have this offer or whatever? May not be for you, but if it is, like, feel free to check it out. Like there's nothing wrong with that if it comes up and if you've uncovered the need for it. That's what it comes down to, right? Like if you've uncovered the need for it, and I guess I'm just passionate about it because I've just been a little bit burnt by seeing some really fucking dodgy stuff in the network marketing space of people just like spamming people and forcing a product on them. And I buy from like 5 different network marketing companies, right? Like I buy, shakes, toothpaste, hair, like shampoo, conditioner. I support as many people as I can in the industry because it's great products, but I've had the need for them, like it has come organically. So I just don't feel like it's good marketing or good for your business when you pitch when you haven't uncovered the problem, right? So in conversations, it's all about like actually having a conversation with them and uncovering that. So 10 to 50 a day of connections. I would then be reaching out to as many people that followed you back, which might be 10, it might be 50. It just depends on what that ratio is. And then content, you've got to be showing up at least once a day in your content, at least once a day, and ideally in your grid and also in your stories, if it's Instagram. Like it's so easy to be doing stories during the day. It's so easy. If if it scares you to pick up the camera and talk face to camera, that means you need to do it every single day. I challenge you to do it every single day for a week, because the only way you're going to stop being scared of doing that is actually just by practice. And the easiest way to do it is in stories, because you can do a million takes if you want. It's not live. It's the easiest way to get better at it.
Beautiful. I remember my first video. I was in year 12, so I was still at school. And I remember I had live videos weren't even a thing back then. And I remember it took me, I think it took me like an hour to film like a 30-second video. And it was like, get outside, stop wasting your life, go enjoy your life, or something really lame like that. I remember I turned my phone off for 24 hours because I didn't want to see the comments. I didn't want to see all the stuff, but it's just obviously that fear that's coming in. But yeah, get on camera. I think I did a 90-day challenge back when I first started, just to get over it. Every day for 90 days, had to post a video, which was it just sort of ripped the band. But I want to go into something that you alluded to, and it's just the concept around, like, you can make an excuse, you can find a reason to, right? And for someone who just had her baby, and I'll let you share what you've done in the last 2 months, really incredible, and literally at the same time of having a baby, not like around the same time, you would have had a baby in the time period you're about to say. What's your take on and your thoughts on making things happen, either having a reason to or excuse to not? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have built a multi 6-figure business with either a baby in my belly, on my hip, or on my boob, like the whole 5 years. So my view on this is that your kids, or that thing that you're making an excuse with, whatever it is, kids, work, not having time, whatever, that is your why. Flip the story. That's your why. So use the hustle or the juggle or the pain or the challenge that you're in right now as your reason to get off your ass and work even harder. Because for me, like, I had to go back to work after 12 months of maternity leave. I was trying my hardest to replace my income. This was when I was in traditional network marketing, and I didn't. And I had my tail between my legs going back to work, being like, this sucks. And it really did suck, going back to a corporate job that I was very senior in with a baby. Like, it was horrible for that year that I was back at work. But that is what drove me to replace my income much sooner than to replace a 6-figure salary within 12 months. I worked my ass off. Like, that did not come easily. I worked my ass off because I was in so much pain that I used it as my driving force rather than my excuse. And I'm not sure who came up with this saying, but everyone's kind of heard the saying that if it's important, you'll find the time. If it's not, you'll find the excuse. And that is truly what it comes down to.
Well, can you give an example of like some of the more, because I don't know if you still have this. I still have that debate to this day. Like, I love Sabri Subi, and he calls it the little bitch, the inner little bitch in your head. And I still have it. Like, I wake up at 4:35. I don't know why, but 4:35 for whatever reason. And I like, sometimes it's cold. I didn't sleep that well. We just got to get puppy. He kept me up some of the night, so I should get my 8 hours sleep. And it's like, I still have that battle. That it's like, in that moment, I've learned to convince that little bitch or that voice inside of me that's like, which one's going to move me towards what I want? Which one's move me towards my vision? Which one's going? What would the most empowered version of me in this moment? What are some of those sort of more challenging periods you've had between sort of going left or right?
I love that. And you've kind of alluded to it there, of like, what would the highest version of yourself do? And it's like, if your vision is strong enough and you know what's getting you out of bed every single day, you know what your goal is and what you're working towards, nothing will stop you. Nothing will stop you. The thought of me still working after 12 months was so disgusting to me that I would find every time in the day to work on my business. I did not care about how much sleep I got. I was, doing everything that I could on the bus on the way to work, on the bus on the way home, in lunch breaks, on the toilet, hiding from my son, whatever. Like, I was finding the time to do the business. So if you're not finding the time, I would question how strong your vision is. Yeah. Like, how strong is your why? What are you really wanting to achieve? And how important is that to you? Like, for me to be home with my one child at the time, like, it was so important to me. And also, it was important for me to just not be working for someone else, because I wanted so badly for so long to be my own boss and to have freedom. It was eating me alive. I wanted that so much that nothing would have stopped me. So if you can't find the time, or you're in your mind, like you keep kind of making excuses, I would actually sit down and like do some work on your vision, and maybe write down like all of the reasons you want it, all of the other people that benefit from you having it, and what it will feel like. Because we generally don't go for goals because of the thing. We go for it because of how we want to feel.
Yeah.
And if you can close your eyes and feel that in your belly, like if you can genuinely feel being there, then that's going to be so much more powerful than just words on a piece of paper.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful. You've done a bit of both. I would call that more of a mindset, but the skill set, you probably put a little love into the connections, the conversations, the content. What's maybe some more mindset skills, or mindset traits, or mindset habits, whatever you want to call it, that really served you in this? How long have you been doing this for now? Like since the start to now?
Well, 10 years in the industry in full, but 5 years in this business.
So in the last 10 years, what's some of the biggest mindset shifts that you've had?
Yeah. So I want to preface this with investment. I have invested so much money into myself and my personal development. And if you're not investing in yourself, like that's the one asset that you have that will never depreciate, right? Like if you're not investing in coaches, in going to events, in courses, like what the hell are you spending your money on? Like if I looked at your bank account, I would be able to tell what your values are just by seeing what you spend your money on, and also your time if I looked at your calendar, right? So I have invested a lot of time and money on myself, because I know that regardless of what I sell, regardless of what my business is for the rest of my life, I might do something completely different in 5 years' time, right? I will be successful if I have invested in myself and who I am. Richard Branson has had so many different businesses, and he's failed at some and he's succeeded at some, right? Because of his mindset and who he is and investing in himself. So some of the mindset shifts that I've had have been around generational like bullshit around money. I truly believe the reason that a lot of people don't make the money that they know that they could be making is because of three things: self-worth, like not believing they're worthy enough, not believing they can do it, other people can, but they can't. And thirdly, generational conditioning.
Yeah.
So what did you grow up believing around money? That was a really big shift for me when I did some really deep work on that. I've done energy healing. I've worked with Alex Tripod around manifestation. I've done spiral. I've worked with a mindset coach. Like I have invested so much money in so many different coaches based on what I need at the time. So if I uncover something that I know I need to work on, then I'll find the appropriate person to work with on that. I think, there's no point in, there's a spiral that you can go down where you always think that there's something wrong with you when you get really deep into personal development. And that's not what I'm saying here. Like, no one's perfect, and there are some things that you get to embrace as well. But if there's something that's genuinely holding you back, like if there's a block and it's genuinely holding you back in your business, like money is a big one. Like you don't want to talk about money, or you don't feel worthy of earning money, or you think that other coaches can earn money, but you can't. That's something worth working on, right? Because that's just always going to hold you back. So yeah, there's a lot that I've worked on. Mostly it's been around money and self-worth. Money and self-worth have been two really big things that have come up with all those different coaches that I've worked with.
Beautiful. And how did that show up in your personal and your professional life once you'd made the shift?
Yeah, great question. I went from earning like $50 commissions in my previous business to earning like $1,200 to, $5,000 per sale in this business. So I had a lot come up with money straight away as soon as I started this business. So a lot came up around like if I make money, I'm going to have to give it all away because I don't come from money. No one in my family has money. I have so many people to support. Like, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. And also because I'd never really been around people that make good money. So that came up a lot in my personal life, and there was a lot that I had to work through from like a family perspective, and it also made me so much stronger.
Yeah.
And with the worthiness piece, like I've always been so passionate about empowering women, and that's something that's just always been really, really natural to me, and I'm really passionate about. And it became so much more embedded in my vision. The more I worked on myself and my self-worth, the more passionate I got about sharing that with other women as well. And now, you know, part of my journey as a mum is also showing women that don't use your kids as an excuse. Use them as your why. Use them as your biggest reason to build a beautiful freedom business where you get the time to spend with them. Like I mentioned to you earlier, in the 2 months since I've been offline, because my baby is nearly 6 weeks, actually. Tomorrow will be 6 weeks. But I've been offline for about 2 months because I went offline 2 weeks before she was born. And in those 2 months, I have earned almost $100,000 from being offline, not in my business, not showing up, supporting my team, not messaging anyone, not being on calls, like not being accessible to anyone. Like that's what I wanted. Is I just did not want any responsibility in those 2 months because I just wanted to be with my bub and also look after myself. And it's been the most abundant 2 months in my business in that time. And that has not come out of nowhere. It's come from 5 years of building my business and not having excuses and chipping away, right? So you can't get to that point without working on your mindset, investing in yourself, and just being consistent. It's the most boring thing. People want to find the silver bullet, but it's like, it just takes time. Be consistent. If you're putting a brick on your house every single day, like building a house, eventually you're going to have a house, right? It's just like, you know, it's just the practicality of being consistent. So that's really what it comes down to as well, is just consistent action.
I love the realness with you. Just like there's obviously the self-worth, the healing, the work on your beliefs and all that stuff, but you're also a very practical girl. You're just like, fuck, just put in the work, right? Just do the work. So the theme of that, what does a day-to-day look like for you? So if you, and maybe give us one, like, obviously you've got a six-year-old baby, say maybe not the last couple of weeks, because obviously that's a bit of a anomaly for you, and mate, 100 in that time, how good's that, right? So what does a quote normal day look like for you with kids, with you building a business? How do you structure your days? Is there a routine? When do you work? When do you like, how do you structure your day?
Great question. So I have about 3 days a week where my kids are fully out of the house, and I know that I can work on those days. Then I have one half day and then one day where they're home. So I know when I can work and when I can't work, and I don't blur the lines. And I think this is where people, especially parents, can get a little bit frazzled, is they try and work when it's like scheduled family time, or they try and have family time when it's like work time. And you have to have boundaries, and you have to know when you can work and when you can't work. And, you know, if you've also got to, so it's that part of like knowing when you can work and scheduling it. It's also prioritizing and making the time. Like I have made the time by paying for childcare, by, you know, knowing that my eldest son is in school now, but last year he wasn't. So I, you know, juggled around schedules to make sure that I had 3 days where both kids were out of the house. So it also does come down to priorities. Now, sometimes there will be work that needs to be done outside of those times as well. And in that time, you've got to be okay with explaining to your family what your goal is. And this comes back to your vision. Like if you've enrolled your family in your vision, then they'll understand that it's important to you because of what you're building towards. So if I have to put the kids in front of Bluey for an hour in order to do something really important for my business, I am okay with that. I do not get mum guilt for doing that. If I have to say to them, like, you know, I have to go into the bedroom and do a call, you know, like here's some snacks, go and, you know, watch the Lego movie for a couple of hours. This is really important. I'm also okay with that because it's prioritizing in the moment what is important. Is it more important being with your kids? Do they really need you? Or does your vision and your business really need you? So it's both scheduling and also prioritizing. So on the days that I don't have my kids, my day would look like a lot of calls. Like I usually have 1 to 2 calls a day with either someone that I'm mentoring or a sales call. I also run ads. I love attraction marketing and having people come to me. So I'm either doing ads on Facebook or content on my Instagram. And then the rest of the day is like getting back to messages, maybe doing a bit of training. As I said, we've got a whole platform with courses. So it might be that we're doing a new course and, teaching on something. So I contribute a lot to that. But yeah, every day kind of looks different, but the things that are generally included in my day. Oh,
Myself muted.
Yeah.
I had myself muted. There was a car that went past my house. So, my question was, what do you work at the moment? Like, what's exciting in your life? I know obviously brand Bubba, Zara might be the answer, but from a professional side of things, business wise, learning wise, what is it that excites you?
Yeah. It's funny because, as I said, she's only 6 weeks old, and I thought that I wanted about 12 weeks off, but I'm so excited to get back to work. That yeah, I think I actually might be coming back a little bit sooner. We're working on this incredible retreat for the Wildly Empowered Collective that is the end of September. It's in Soma in Byron Bay, and it's 3 nights and 4 days of just really empowering women to unleash their voice, unleash who they truly are, what their story is, really embodying their worth and embodying the message and their vision. So we bring our top leaders to that. You have to qualify. We do it twice a year, and you have to qualify to go. But I'm really, really excited on that. So that's what we've been working on in the background. My leaders have been working on it, which has been beautiful because
Awesome.
they just updated me a couple of days ago on what they've created. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to go away more. What they've created is amazing. So super, super pumped for that. And yeah, I just love seeing women. I love holding up a mirror for women and showing them what is truly possible for them, and them seeing it and being like, wow, I kind of needed someone to hold up that mirror.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Tell me about leadership. We haven't really spoken too much about leadership with you. So what's what in maybe a couple of your leadership lessons been able to have a team that's been able to correct me if I'm wrong. Well, if you've taken the last sort of couple months off, sure if all that was commissioned from your downline, or did you have people taking your sales for you? Or
no, I did not make a single sale in that.
That's awesome. That's
which
awesome.
Is
the power of affiliate marketing, right?
Yeah, it's so cool. So one big lesson in leadership is allowing, and this actually works with parenthood as well, allowing people to fall over, scrape their knee and learn from it.
Yep.
Like if you're teaching your kid to ride a bike, you're not going to hold them on the bike the entire time and expect that they're going to learn to ride it, right? Like you've got to just let them go, and it might scare you and be like, oh, what if they fall off and really hurt themselves? Like, yeah, they probably will. And you know what? They're going to learn from it. So with leading and mentoring women in business, like I'm not constantly giving them the answer. I'm not constantly like, hand holding them or giving them everything on a silver platter. I'm like, what do you think? What do you think the answer could be? What do you think the direction should be that you go in? What feels good for you? So it's like as much about the questions as it is then guiding them when they need it. Which, this last 2 months is testament to that because the team's been on fire. That's one thing. The second thing is knowing when it's time to contribute without necessarily knowing when or if there'll be a monetary, reward. So I've had an incredibly abundant few months. I've also had some times where I have worked so hard on systems for my team, like sales, for example. We've got a whole team of people that do the sales calls for our team. We've got a whole platform with courses in it. I've never created a platform before. I was up till midnight some nights messaging the support team of the website that it's hosted on, being like, how do I do this? 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 Like I had no clue what I was doing. So it took so much longer than what it would have for someone that knew what they were doing. But I knew at the time, I was like, the team needs this. Like this is actually what we need. We need the right people doing sales calls that are in the team that know how powerful and how valuable this community is that they get access to. And we need proper education and a proper place to house it. And we need affiliate links. Like we need proper funnels that are affiliated, that are simple to use. So you kind of need to know when to be the leader that is in service rather than there for necessarily like quick return profit, which as millennials, we love getting instant gratification, but that's not always the case in business.
Beautiful. This has been amazing, Jess. I'm not blown away. I didn't think I wasn't get blown away from you just from seeing your stuff and hearing what you've been able to do. I've been really, really inspired just the amount of similarities with the way that you view the world, the boundaries that you set, how you treat your team, how you lead your team, your abundant mindset, the mindset about always investing into yourself, into mentorship and growth. It's been really, really beautiful. So this has been awesome. I've really enjoyed this. And I'd like to just obviously leave you with the opportunities to just plug yourself, your Instagram, or whatever people who listen to this that want to connect with you from a personal level, from a professional level. If they're looking for an income and they're looking for an opportunity to replace their income, where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you. My Instagram is the best place, which is at Jessica Zalums. I've got my funnel on there. You can watch a webinar with me or just reach out because I love having conversations with people and seeing if it's the right fit for you as well as for me, which I'm really passionate about too. So connect with me on Instagram. That's the best place to find me. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. What a great conversation.
I appreciate it. My last question I always leave with, what's something personal that you're working on that the world doesn't get to see?
Oh, love that question. Definitely my boundaries. Something personally that I've been working on since having a third is my own boundaries within myself to make sure that I'm still allowing the time and the space for my own healing and recovery and joy and things that don't have like a business or monetary ROI. It's just like enjoying the moment and knowing that the tiny moments with your kids or around in your life that, you know, that you can actually just stop and be still and really take in. That's what joy really is about. So that's just a boundary and I guess like a life lesson that I've been more attuned to since having my third little bub.
Beautiful lesson. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate your time. And for the listeners as well, thank you for getting all the way into the podcast. Reach out to Jess, connect with her on her Instagram, share this with the friends. And Jess, thank you again one more time.
My pleasure. And thank you, Zara, for being quiet.
Zara, what a absolute trooper. First podcast down the hatch. Thank you, Zara.
I've been bouncing her with my leg the whole time and she's happy as Larry. So thank you, Zara.
Thank you, Zara.